to another episode of Smarketing, where we put sales and marketing together, and we put Janet, Fenner and Yaron Zussman together for a great episode bringing your way. Today's topic is how to retain talent and how to attract talent within the security industry. So with that, I'm going to have Yaron kick it off for us.
Sure. So hi, everybody. Great to be here. Thank you, Janet. And I think today's discussion is something that is, I think, near and dear to anybody that likes this industry and loves being in the industry. And it's a discussion that we've been having for a very long time in terms of how do we brand the industry to make it exciting. And I think this is something that all the associations in the industry are struggling with. We know that attracting talent into the industry, as well as keeping talent into the industry, has been a challenge. And a lot of it has to do with what I see as just the perception of the industry as being an old school type industry. And I think once people get into the industry, they understand that this is the branding and how the industry looks from the outside is completely different. I've been in the industry now for close to 17 years. And when I got into the industry, like a lot of other people by mistake. I in a way fell into the industry. It was a
we all did. We all got in. We didn't
Exactly.
say, hey, I want to work within the security industry. So we all got it.
I think that's one of the points here that we want to actually discuss and see how, why is it and what can we do as an industry to get the industry to be exciting to the outside world and not just people that are in it know, hey, it's a great place to work. There's great people in this industry. The ecosystem is super exciting and it's a fun industry to work in. With that, I recently actually joined the board of FAST, which is an initiative that comes together between SIA as well as ESA to say, okay, how do we attract, retain, promote, and get talent into the industry? And it's something that, again, I'm very passionate about, and I'm excited to be a part of it. And I'll have and say, okay, how do we do it? What's wrong with the industry that everybody almost fell into it and nobody was really planning to come into the industry, right? So I'm going to challenge you as a marketing person who's been in the industry for a long time to say, what's wrong with the branding in the industry and what can we do? Because when we look at the industry, there's tons of things going on. And I think we have to break it down as well as to the ecosystem, right? But there is consultants, there are integrators, there are manufacturers, there are end users, there's a lot of other people, but as a whole, as a marketing expert, how do you look at this industry and say, okay, what's the branding need to be to make it exciting?
No, you're right. And we have different facets of the industry as far as like really well-established companies, but then you've been involved with helping a lot of starter companies come into this market. So you also have those groups of entities that come in, and it's hard for recruiters to go ahead and position people within, hey, it's an up and coming, hey, it's new technology, hey, they just came into the market. So it's really hard to get somebody who is a great portfolio to go ahead and bring them over to a starting company. So that's also a challenge in itself. The way I see it, there's different ways to definitely attract new talent and retain them. Retention is huge because you go into trade shows, and I think it's called on the third day of the trade show is called Resume Day. Have you ever heard of that? Resume Day, when everybody hands out their resume on the third day. So retaining the talent is good. By the way, speaking of talent, you totally look like Dr. Evil in that chair. I just have to bring that up. So, you definitely have to do every once in a while, just put your little pinky.
I am Dr. Evil today. I'm actually I'm at a customer's facility today. So I stole an office.
So maybe, an Israeli, Dr. Evil. But okay, so anyway, getting back to it. So a couple ideas that I know a few companies out in the industry do that I think is a great thing and a great motivator for people to basically stay within the companies is, of course, you always have to treat your employees well. But that also goes with training them, making sure you've given them the right tools. We've talked about that before as far as creating a sales team. However, there's certain benefits that you can allocate to new people coming into this industry, such as you stay within a year, every year you're with the company, you can pay off X amount of their student loans, or you can help them with their education, or for 1 year, they'll put you, just different benefits that they can offer their young employees to help them learn and retain them, and give them that kind of benefits that if they can't pay the salary up front, you give them a benefit that for every single year, because you invest, every employee that you hire, you invest heavily in. And it takes a lot of money to go ahead and turn that head and hire somebody else. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this can be done easier probably on the manufacturing side, where there's usually HR departments and they're usually bigger, and they can put together plans and put together how to bring training programs and growth paths for employees. I think some of the challenges that are in the industry today is actually on the other side of it, on the integrator side, right? Which is a lot of them are still mom and pop shop that's been around for a long time. And I think the hiring into those companies, I think getting talent is something a lot of people just hire from one another, right? Because you want the experienced technicians, you want somebody who knows what they're doing. And I think one of the things that can and should be looked at is what are the feeder programs into our industry, right? How do you get new people to our industry, and what career paths can you offer at an integrator, right? So think about somebody who's starting right out of a 2-year technical school or a 4-year college or something like that, and he's starting in the industry as a technician, or as let's even say a cable puller right at the beginning. But what are the trajectory that you can offer somebody like that, especially in the smaller businesses that understandably do not have the HR people that are doing all the plans. They're usually run by owners that have been running the companies for a very long time. Mm-hmm. So I think one of the things that I'm interested in, again, I don't have the solution, but I'm interested in understanding. And with that, I think later, when you understand the problem, you can say, okay, how do we frame it and build the marketing plan to brand the industry as an exciting place to work? Because again, it is, especially in the last 5 years with technology evolving. It's not the same industry we got into. You and I got into the industry when it was still an analog world, when it was still, I would call, very boring, right? Today, it is an exciting industry. If you look at all the new companies that are coming into the industry, it's all software companies. It's all companies that do really, really cool things. But I think the perception of the industry is still, it's guard and guns, right? It's a security industry. It's security guards, and it's
right. Well, and it's hard to have people navigate into our industry. Like you said, we both fell into this industry. A lot of people kind of just was all of a sudden they're like, oh wait, I'm in the security industry. So that's kind of how you fall into it. One of the things that I found pretty resourceful is if you go to certain colleges to just have a talk and say, hey, listen, this is the technology, this is the ecosystem, this is what the security industry is about. I got to tell you, I did that one time with the University of Massachusetts, gave a presentation about the industry, and after the presentation was done, I have to tell you that just about 75% of those students were like, where can I go? How can I apply? Really interested. It's just basically having the know-how of how to go and reach that new group of people. And then it's, of course, retaining them through the years, also a sense of family. Everybody wants to belong. Nobody wants to make it feel like I'm going to go to work every single day and do mundane things over and over and over again, and there's no perks, there's nothing in it. People want to feel like they belong somewhere. So having the quarterly meetings, having the yearly meetings, making a promotion that the employee of the month gets to go to the next trade show, or they get to go on a field trip with the sales, they get to do something. Definitely incentivize your team to go out there. I always say the people in the back help run the people in the front, and vice versa. You have to make those two worlds collide, and they have to actually work hand in hand. The only way to do that is to get them from the background into the foreground. And this is something that you can, actually promote it as like, hey, I'm doing something different. And we used to have inside salespeople at the different companies that I've been at, every single time we said, hey, we want you to go to ISC West, their faces lit up. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to Vegas.
Going to Vegas, yeah.
And, you know, of course, us, we're like, oh, we're going to Vegas. You know what I mean? So it's definitely something that, you know, you can definitely build into a plan is to make people feel like they want, you know, they're wanted. You know, the RISE committee, the new FAST committee that's coming in, that's the one that you were just talking about. Fantastic. You know, it's great to educate the youth, but where to find them, how to find them. If you're a large company, definitely do your rounds and making sure that you talk to the universities in the area. You know what I mean?
I think you brought a very interesting point, and we've been in my former company, we've been very successful hiring locally in New Jersey, for example, from two very good schools, which is one is NJIT and the other is Stevens, right? Very good.
Yep, absolutely.
And if I follow the career paths of the people that we hired from there, they stayed in the industry and they're doing very well in the industry. They're in very executive level positions, and they started very young. But I don't feel it's being done systematically, and I don't feel it's being done enough. So I think one of the things that, again, with the branding exercises, maybe we'll let define marketing the brand, the industry brander. But I think there are so just here in New Jersey, between NJIT, Rutgers, Stevens, you have some really good schools that can feed very good talent into the industry. But I think I don't even know how many companies and which companies from our industry go to those call it career events and those are free events, right? When I'm an alumni, I get, okay, if you want to come recruit here, we have these events that we're doing. So I think one of the things that I would look at if I was an integrator today looking for new talent, saying, yeah, it's going to take me a little bit more time to train somebody that I didn't hire from my competitor, but I may be able to get some fresh blood into the industry. And once they're trained, you know, somebody that just finished school, they will be able to advance themselves as long as I'm able to build a runway for them to grow with the company.
And make sure that the expectations of what you're expecting out of this new individual meets the expectations of what they're thinking they're going to go in and do. Because I have been in experiences that we've hired somebody, let's say from Stevens Tech or NGIT, and all of a sudden they're an up and coming engineer and they really are aggressive. These kids are definitely, this young talent is
they want to run the company on day one. They want to run the company on day one.
So if you constantly put them on, you know, unboxing stuff and making sure firmware is updated over and over and over again, they're going to be like, I'm out. You know what I'm saying? So definitely tap into the talent and know how to use that talent, but make sure your expectations are aligned as to what their duties are going to be and how quickly they are going to grow or when they're going to grow. Because I
absolutely, but that's part of building a plan for them. Like exactly, because yeah, if you bring them, if you promise them to do the most exciting thing, and yeah, everybody starts with things that may be boring, but there is a trajectory that is understandable from day one with expectation management. I think you do have there's tons of talent out there that is looking for work, and I think our industry is much more exciting than what it looks from the outside.
From
to get in, understand that.
Right, and from a marketing point of view, a lot of people, when they go to apply for a job, the first thing they'll do is take a look at the LinkedIn page and take a look at everyone who's connected. So it's very important to make sure your company stays relevant from a marketing point of view, because your candidates will check you out. They will see what you're about. And the more that you boast full-fledged, not just product, but about your company. What do you do? What are your services? What are your solutions? What are your verticals? Everything that you touch needs to be communicated, because your candidates are paying attention, not only your market, but especially when you're going to go ahead and attract talent. All of that has to be relevant, because that's what they're going to be checking out.
Yeah, I also think there's becoming more of a talent gap, I'd say, in the world between integrators and manufacturers because of everything that's going on in the world of software. And I think with that, there is a huge opportunity for a lot of the integrators to actually upgrade their skills and hire some talent that will help them stay relevant in the future with what's going on in the industry, right? With with all the buzzwords are real in the industry today, right? A lot of the artificial intelligence and a lot of the things that are coming into the industry, cyber is converging. Cyber is a huge threat, but a huge opportunity for our industry. So I think with that, And I know a lot of the associations are investing a lot of resources to educate, call it the old guard, on what's coming up. And I think there's huge opportunities there, right? A lot of the people that will adapt correctly and hire the right talent will be successful in implementing and coming out of this, call it technology revolution, stronger, versus the guys that say, okay, I'm just going to hire the next cable pusher I know from my competitor and another installer. I think those are the guys that are going to find themselves struggling later, because end users are getting much more educated. A lot of end users I work with have hired guys that were integrators, have hired guys that know what they're doing. So it's no longer that the end user is just, okay, I'm going to hire the integrator, they're going to do everything for me. The end users are becoming more and more educated because everything is out there. The information is out there. They can do the research. They do the research. They actually know what they want as an integrator, and they know what they're looking for. And I think those are a lot of the things that when you look for talent, you have to think of where is the industry going in the next 5 to 10 years, and let's say even 3 to 5 years, and what kind of people am I going to need, and how do I tell those people, how do I sell these people on the excitement that is happening in this industry, and tell, hey, this is not just, you know, guards in the mall, or it's not just people that are watching CCTV screens. There's a lot of very interesting position, be it technical, software, marketing, sales, operations. The whole gamut is becoming super exciting. I do think we have a huge branding exercise in front of us to make sure that people understand that this industry is super exciting.
Yeah, no, you're right. As far as making sure that we also promote each other in the right light. That's very important. You know what I mean? Taking the time as a professional to make sure that you acknowledge other people within this industry goes a very long way to show up and coming talent that, hey, listen, look at what we do. We support each other. We're here as a unit. We're here as an ecosystem. We may have our differences, but you put that aside and you basically know which direction to go and actually promote one another. Another thing that is definitely, I'd love to go ahead and see a company do is, or maybe they do is something called the shadow program. Would be great to say, hey, listen, on-job training, or take those students from school and basically say, listen, we want to mentor you, offer it to the school system. You can go out with our installers. You can go out with our sales team, take a look at what it's about, shadow somebody for a day. And it would be great to offer some kind of program, shadow program, because the more that you can go ahead and get somebody indoctrinated into your line of products, the better it is once they graduate and they go out into the field, because they've already gotten a taste of who took care of them and who mentored them along the way.
Absolutely. And I think if you look at the, on all different gamuts of the industry, I think if you look at the integrators that have done well, the manufacturers that have done well, even the consultants that have done well, have been those that adapted quicker, right? And the ones that understood, okay, the world is changing in front of me, and I need to adapt, and I need to bring some younger talent into the fold. I need to bring some technology people into the fold. And I think there is this gap that is being created. And again, I think it creates an opportunity. But I would, when I look for talent right now, it used to be that you just call a recruiter and you start looking for, okay, you know, who can I hire from my competitor? And today I'm in a different place. I know it's going to take me longer to train somebody brand new to the industry. And it's going to be harder, and the process is going to be, but getting somebody brand new to the industry, if you do have the time and the resources to acclimate them and explain the industry, can pay huge dividends, as opposed to just hiring somebody that has been in the industry and is boxed into the industry for a very long time. And I think in a way that is a way to bring new talent, because again, if you bring somebody into the industry and he's successful, and you have to think about the fact and know that those people may be with you for 2 years and move somewhere else, right? That's it's part of that. It's part of that growth. If you don't have the growth potential to offer them, yeah, they would go somewhere else and grow somewhere else. But I think you're bringing talent into the industry that will keep bringing talent into the industry, because they will start tapping their network into the industry and bring more people. And I think that's where the industry will continue, because I want to say continue evolving to be more exciting and to be more fresh.
No, I agree. It's just, you know, once you do bring new talent, you also have to have a place, something in place that basically says, here are the incentives to keep you. You know what I mean? Even though I know when you get young talent, I mean, we were all brand new in the industry. When we started working after 2 years, you're like, I want a raise. You know what I mean? I want to, you know, do you know who I am? You know what I mean? You had that, you know, like, you know, the sense of worth that you're just like, you know, you're never going to get paid what you're worth. You know what I'm saying? So it's basically making sure that along the way, the tools that you're training and teaching, you're also allocating with the benefits that comes with working with this company. So when they go to leave, they go, well, that company's not going to have this, 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 and this. You know what I mean? Not so much dollar amount, but so much as other perks and other benefits and other, you know, incentives or payback programs or anything like that. So it's important to make sure that the talent that you're training and you try to keep as well.
Yeah, I agree. And I think another thing that has to be communicated to the world that is not necessarily communicated is the fact that this industry pays pretty well when you start looking across from other industries, right? So I think if we look at people going out of college, and I think SIA just released their wage survey, but I think overall, when I look at people that are leaving college and what they go to do, I think when you look at what, from integrators to manufacturers, what they pay, the industry is competitive, right? The industry is competitive in terms of numbers, but I think, again, it's one of those things that when you go to a job fair and you see a cyber company versus a security company, and by the way, the security company can be a very exciting software company, but when it's boxed into physical security, the cyber company will get all the right applicants, right? Because it's exciting and it's new and cyber is in the news every day. And I think that's one of the things that if we do our job correctly in marketing, talking to you, Janet, I think there's a lot of opportunity to get talent that otherwise would not even look into our industry to evolve.
And
I think
if you look at it,
going to keep driving it.
If you look at the schools now, they're all offering, you know, cybersecurity. They're offering finally, you know, something that fits within our market. So we're getting a big influx of cyber within our industry, which is great. As far as trying to get other colleges to get accredited classes for other things that the security industry does is a little tougher. But cybersecurity now, I can't tell you how many kids I already know in college that are taking cybersecurity. And it's a really up and coming. We're going to have a huge influx of cybersecurity candidates coming into our industry, which is great within the next coming years.
Yeah, because people realize that that we're the most vulnerable things on their network that has been running for unsupervised for so many years.
Right.
So yeah, I agree, and that's where I think there's tons of opportunities. And again, I know there's some of the large industry associations and PSA as well have invested in educating people on what's coming with cyber, but I think it does create an amazing opportunity to bring people in. It has created opportunity to bring and again retain talent and running. And there are companies that do it very well. There's companies in our industry that do very well that hire a bunch of young people, bring them into kind of a management training program. But again, most of it is done on the manufacturing side. I think on the integrator side, we have a lot of work to do to to elevate the talent and to keep the talent and to keep really the industry at the level of where the technology is going, which is going to be, again, super exciting.
Yeah, and I would even recommend companies create some type of internship programs that they can advertise at their local schools, because that is something that, listen, it's an internship. You can get really talented people to help out your staff or to shadow your staff and give them online training, you know, on the job training as they go into, you know, the summer months. I know several candidates that are looking for internships right now in several different fields, but that's a great way.
I'm curious because I don't, but how many integrators do you know that actually hire interns into their programs?
None that I know of. None.
There are, but I'm just curious to know, because again, I think
or the manufacturers, and it's a shame because they should, you know what I mean? It's cheap labor, or they can just do an unpaid internship. There's different ways. I have a company that just reached out to me, I forget what the name of it is, to see if I could take on some interns to teach them on the job training for marketing, to show them kind of what my daily day goes through. And I was like, I'd love to. Absolutely, I'm on board. So it'd be great to have people just take a look at interns. Everybody can use an intern. Everybody can use some help. You know what I mean? And I know it takes time to train and I know that some of the, look at different generations. Certain generations are still the ability of saying, if I have to show you how to do things, I might as well just do it myself. And they're of that kind of generation. But if you take the time to go ahead and just train somebody, you never know where that's going to lead to. You never know. You can learn also from new blood.
Yeah, and I'm guilty of that as well, because sometimes you realize, oh, if I'm going to bring somebody in that knows nothing right now, they're going to take so much of my time right now that I just don't have that kind of time.
Right.
But again, this is technically thinking for the moment. I think when you look at it strategically and say, okay, if I take the time and build a program and get them trained and educate them about the industry, I think they can become a great resource in the industry. Can obviously help me, and I think also a lot of these, in general, I just think that people have this call it these preconceived notions about millennials, that they're lazy, and I've had a lot of success with millennials, right? They've been very, very good employees. They're very smart. They know technology.
It's worth it attending a seminar, a webinar, or even taking a look on YouTube or even a TED Talk about different generations, that's for sure. Because there's a difference in Generation Y, Generation X, Generation Z, and now the upcoming Generation Alpha. So it's definitely something worth taking a look at, because the way we work is completely different than a millennial person works better with, hey, you're doing a great job. That's awesome. You know what I mean? We came up with the generation is like, that's great. Now keep going on. Where's the other part of it? You know what I mean?
I just break it down to two: generation old, which is us, generation young, new people. Right? I don't care
so
about
understanding what your needs are is really important, because it definitely helps the communication and helps with the relationship for sure.
No, but I've learned tons from young, call it millennials, because first of all, their computer skills and their IT skills are so way over what I can do. And again, at the beginning, it might be challenging because hey, they want to run the company on day one. But when you understand and you're successful in how to work with them, they're bright, they're fast, they do work, they do amazing work. It's just a matter of understanding, like you said, how to motivate them. And it might be different than what I'm used to, what you're used to, what other people are used to. And again, I'm called the middle generation. In our industry, you still have an older generation than us running companies, right? So that's so there's even that gap. That I think
there's older people than us.
There are some older people than us. Not a lot, but there are some older people than us still in the industry.
Give us a few years.
With that, but I do believe that it's we are in for a big challenge, because a lot of the companies, especially on the integrator side, are complaining and are not having. There's a skills gap of finding the right people to getting into the industry, and I think a lot of it has to do with branding. So I think the more we brand the industry, the more we come together as an industry and put together programs and show people where can I go to get talent, right? Okay, this Rutgers is running this career fair for technical people, the VRI is running this, and this is where you can go find your talent. I think there's a lot that can be done. And with that, also just call it the industry collateral, make it the industry exciting and interesting.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about what FAST does, because I found that very, very interesting. I think it's so great that SIA's doing that, and I know it's been in the works for quite a while. So tell me a little bit.
I don't know yet. They just started. Again, when they reached out, I said I'm in, just because I joined the industry relatively young and completely by mistake, literally by mistake. I met a VC that was invested in a company that was in the industry by mistake. It could have been in a different industry, and I would not fall into it. And then really, I never left the industry, right? It's my third company in 20 years, and I'm having a blast, and I'm enjoying, and I'm working, helping some other young startups in the industry. So when they reached out, I'm like, I'm in 100%, because I really think that once you get into the industry, And there's so many good people in this industry on all facets, from the integrators to consultants to end users to, it's an industry that is fun to work with. I still wake up in the morning every day and excited to go to work. But when you're outside of the industry, when you're not in an industry event, when you talk to people and you tell them which industry you're in, they're looking at you like,
what? They're like,
what?
Oh, yeah.
Most of the time when I tell people I'm in security, they assume immediately securities, which is like, I'm in banking or something like that. So it's one of those things and I still have friends that are very good family friends that when Yaron, he's in securities. I'm like, no, I'm not in securities.
Right. You're like, okay, all right, right.
So it's one of those things. And then when Fast came together and really Fast put together what looks like a very, very good group of people, me excluded, but a very good group of people to look and saying, okay, how do we do exactly that? How do we get young people excited about the industry? How do we keep people in the industry? How do we get talent in? And I'm excited to start that journey with Fast. It's starting very soon, and I'm going to try to do my best to help that organization with really creating that framework of how to bring talent into the industry and how to keep talent. And again, I think otherwise the gap is just going to widen, right? Because if you look at all the new companies that are coming into the industry right now, they're all pretty well-funded companies. They're all in the software world. It's young people. They're very smart. They're very educated. But we need to keep the other side of the industry, which is the people that actually deploy those systems and support those systems and use those systems at the same level, right? So I think with that, I think there's a lot of opportunity for people to understand, hey, I'm going to be involved in really cool software. I'm going to be involved with really cool hardware. I'm going to be involved with the newest and coolest trends that are out there. But right now, when people think, okay, I'm going to join the industry, I'm going to be wearing uniforms and I'm going to be, not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm going to be a mall cop, right? And that's not the security industry today. It's just not.
Right. I mean, they're part of it, but yeah, it's not. There's a whole entire ecosystem. You know what? We're going to create, Yaron, you and I know I say your name, Yaron, because it's just fancier. But yeah, so how about we create some kind of infographic that basically explains the ecosystem of our industry, and we're going to post it with one of our segments. So I'm giving us homework, which I love.
No worries.
So yeah, this way we can explain it to anybody that's up and coming. We can definitely start by that and saying, hey, this is how our industry works. This is all these segments. You can be a part of any one of these segments or any one of these divisions within the industry. There's so many. And that's the one thing that when I did give that speech, they basically loved that there were so many different areas that they can start in. And so we'll develop that and we'll put that out on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I think that's important. I think also we have to understand that, in general, our industry is risk averse, right? And that's, which is what also makes it very exciting, right? So you can argue, some people would argue that the industry blocks innovation. If innovation comes, people don't want to be the first one. They don't want to deploy it. They want to, but in a way that's the same for any industry. But I think the exciting thing about this industry is once you find, and there are early adapters in each one of those little spaces, companies can do very well. And I think this is where I think a lot of people miss and say, I'm just going to work for a standard old school manufacturer because, nobody got fired for buying IBM. But I think in the future, people will get fired for buying IBM, right? Because
right. Yeah, I mean, a lot of them still have the mentality of it ain't broke, don't fix it. A lot of the executives won't try the new technology because they're like 2 years, 3 years from retiring. Everything's going smoothly. They don't want to rock the boat. So they miss out on those opportunities to move and propel their business forward with new technology.
I agree 100%, but I think those who do look at new technology, then that's how technology's evolved, right? That's how the industry evolved. We look at, again, started in this industry when I started here. I was selling only IP video. Nobody knew how to spell IP. And I keep repeating that. But when you said IP, people, IP, about the intellectual property, what is it?
Yeah.
Everything is there, right? So I think there are crazy trends that are going to just come in and die. But I think when you have a trend like IP, like biometrics, cyber, cloud, all of those things are here to stay, right? So if you put your head in the sand and say, we're never going to do that, you're going to stay behind. But then, and just cloud in general is a whole new, it's not new, but it's all that is really taking the industry by storm right now. And you're going to need expertise for that, right? The integrators are going to need expertise for that. The end users are going to need expertise for that. So again, you're going to need that talent, bring it. But I think most talent that thinks about the security industry and cloud together are like, what are you talking about? Those are two separate things, right? So I think,
right.
And I think there's a perception issue that the industry has. There's a branding issue that the industry has. And I think if you can fix that, Janet, you'll have the most successful marketing agency in the world.
All right, I'm on it. This is great. Wow. Whew, that's a heavy task there, but it's great. Okay, awesome. So wrapping it up, because I know we are almost at the given time. So wrapping this up, what do you recommend as a summary in attracting new talent and then recommending to how to retain talent?
Yeah, so I think the way I look at it is look at it strategically, don't look at it tactically. Don't look at what I need now immediately. And most people, that's what, a lot of the time, that's what they do. And I, again, guilty as well of doing it. But look at it and say, okay, what kind of talent am I going to need in the next 3 to 5 years to stay ahead or to stay on par with the industry, right? With all the things that are going on. And with that right now, where can I get that talent, right? And start exploring local school, local universities, and not only the technical schools, but again, a lot of the universities. Stevens in New Jersey is an amazing school. I'm sure there's the equivalents everywhere, and there are people hungry for work. Just call those schools, see when they have a career fair, put a banner, put one of those things, explain what your industry does. You're going to get people that want to work. You know, that we're in time right now that people are looking for work. And don't just look for the next guy that is out there that's already done it and may pass it. And bring somebody new, invest the time, train them, take that time to explain what the industry does, how the industry does it, and where the industry is going. I think it's going to pay much better dividends than just hiring the next available guy that knows what he's doing. Yes, you're going to have to invest more up front, but I think the dividends are going to be much higher on the other side. Same things on the manufacturing side. And I think, again, the problem on the manufacturing side is a little bit smaller because there are HR departments, because there are bigger manufacturers that are out there, because the convergence of software and hardware. So I think the manufacturers do somehow a better job of attracting younger talent and keeping it in the industry. But again, they still face the same challenge of the branding and the perception of the industry. Hey, it's cameras, it's boring, there's nothing there. So I think there's work to be there on the education side. And on the consultants, I think there's less of the issue because it is technical. It is people that want to become consultants, people want to become specifier. And also, I think partnering with a lot of the certification things. Looking at not just the basics, but the Microsoft certification, the Cisco certification, a lot of those things that you need to stay ahead of the industry right now. I think some of those schools that do those certifications, they send out very, very smart people. And I think if the industry starts to recruit in those locations, I think we'll just do better as an industry.
All right, that's fantastic. All right, awesome. Well, Yaron, thanks so much for that insight. Really appreciate it. And we will see everybody next week with another awesome topic. So I think this was great.
You gave us homework, so we have to work on the homework this week.
We definitely do. Thank you so much, Yaron.
Thank you.
Okay, listen, before you go, let me take a picture of you as Dr. Evil. Ready? You got to put your finger on your like this.
Right here.
Okay, like that. Hold on a second. I'm gonna screenshot this and all that.
All right.
Awesome. All right, thanks. Listen, take care. I'll talk to you later.
Have a good weekend. Talk to you soon.
Okay, you too. Bye.